Well, welcome back, and this is the second in a series about websites, how to edit your websites, and we're going to talk about the photo gallery software, and this video will just be an overview of that software, and then the next video we'll get around to actually doing some editing and adding of galleries or albums to the galleries. So, just going back just a little bit to where we were, this is representative of the folders we were talking about in the last video, where in my documents and in my pictures, and then in a folder I call my cabinet pictures, I've got my jobs broken down by the different builders, homeowners, so that I can distinguish one from the other. None of this is necessary to do the website photo gallery. If you can just get a folder on your desktop or anywhere on your hard drive that you can find it, regardless of what the name of that folder is, with a bunch of pictures in it, and those pictures can have the names right off the camera. All that I'm doing here is so that I can find these pictures later. So the photo organization is not necessary or absolutely necessary to do a photo gallery. I just think it's a good habit to get into so that you can, if you've got a particular job you're looking for, you can just come here and find them very quickly. But if you can just get those images into a folder on your desktop, we can find them from the photo gallery software. Another thing that I want to remind you of is that you do need to rotate the photos before they come here into the software. This software does not allow you to rotate them, so the Adobe photo album software that I showed you in the first video will actually do that for you, but like Windows Viewer and things like that don't rotate it for you. They have the little rotate icon and you can rotate the images yourself, but the images, if they're portrait as opposed to landscape, they do need to be rotated into that portrait position, or they'll just come in sideways into this software. Another thing that I wanted to kind of briefly visit, we're going to edit the kitchen gallery, and so you know what that file looks like. If you go to your website, you're getting ready to, let's say, edit this kitchen gallery, you'd go to your website and click on kitchen gallery, and it'll load your kitchen gallery here. But you're looking for the file that you need to edit for that, and you can see that file name right here in the address bar. It just says there, it's showing your website, but then kitchengallery.html. That's the file name that we're going to edit in the editing software that we'll look at in a later video. And then in the coffee cup software, we're looking for a file that's also going to be called kitchen gallery, but it'll have a hyphen in it, and it's actually got a XML extension. So we'll look at that in just a second. But if you were looking to edit your selection gallery, you could go to the selection gallery, and you could see there that the name of that gallery is selection gallery, no hyphens, no uppercase, lowercase. Several people like to use the Camelback font, is what I've heard it referred to, where you would capitalize the S and capitalize the G. But again, remember, none of these names can have spaces in them. You've got to use either an underscore or a hyphen. Also, the Internet Explorer will allow you to, you can also see the names of these here in the tabs if you have multiple tabs, but ideally you don't look for the file name right here in the address. Now let's pop over to the photo gallery software, and let me make a correction. In the last video I mentioned the background sound. When we're looking at the gallery, the overall gallery, these mouse over sounds we do not want to use. Those are just annoying little noises that happen when your mouse rolls over these images in the thumbnails. But when we are looking at the albums, I basically said the same thing about this one, and this is the one we are using. So you can go in there and put music to the background, and most of them are loops. The ones that are in there currently are loops, and they come with the software, and those are fine to use. The music that I used in the plant tours, for some of you, you probably don't want to use things like that, other people's songs, unless you have permission. You could get into some copyright error stuff. So either use the loops that came with the software or don't use any music at all. But this is where you can just set that file and it'll upload with it. It does take a lot longer to load when you have all the music, and I've pretty much just stopped using that on any new sites. All right, so right now we're looking at, I basically want to just go through a little quick overview and try to get through this overview in a timely fashion and try to keep this to a reasonable amount of time. Um, but let's kind of go through the options that are available to you. So at the gallery level, this is what the software will open up to. And this is Coffee Cup Photo Gallery software. It'll open up to the gallery level. And when you click in each of these, like this is the primary photo window, when you click in that, you're going to see some options for that. So here we can say show a border, and that border is white, or we can say just don't show a border at all on that, or we can say show a border and show it dashed, and then show it red if we want to. But that will put a border around that. I personally don't particularly care for borders on that particular part. I don't think it's necessary. Then when you click down here, you see that the item settings change, and now we have the option to show a border around the entire area here. And if we say we want it to be, now right now this dashing is representative that we have it selected. If we select off of that, we see that it's a white border, just as it says. Here's the white border, show border. If we say don't show border and click out of it, there is no border around that area. So we'll say show border, and then we can say dashed, and when we click out of there, now we can see that that border is dashed. I don't like either, or I like the border but not dashed. Then the thumbnail sizes, these are the default sizes. I've not really played with the different sizes, but much smaller and you just can't tell anything about them, and much bigger you're just eating into the real estate for your primary photo. So I think the defaults are good. And here we are saying to show a border, and it's a white border. And then and this border here is each independent window for the thumbnails. And then we're saying when this particular, whichever picture is chosen at the time, let's change the highlight color so they know which one they're looking at. If they're not watching the automated screen show or slideshow, if they're manually selecting the pictures, let's be able to let them tell which one they have selected. So the border will change from white to green here, or it could be red or blue, whatever you want to set it to. And then these scroll buttons, they don't show in this preview mode, but these scroll buttons add a scroll bar right here and right here. And that allows you or allows your user to actually navigate the screen themselves. They don't need you, or it's not an automated slideshow. They can go in here and pick each picture, and it'll just view up there. This will allow them to scroll left and right through this navigation bar when it's in that manual mode and not in the automated mode. And then you can choose the colors for that little bar there. Alright, and then let's go over here to the gallery settings. And here we've got the width of the whole window. The whole gallery is 500 by 462, and you can change that. It just won't fit on the current template for the website. The website's kind of designed around this 500 by 462, but you can change that. The background color is black on all but the main menu. And then we have our again, show border and dashed it, and all that's turned off. We don't want a border out around this perimeter of the whole thing out here. And no, we don't use background images. You could if you wanted to. Typically, rather than use a background image, you would probably come down here and choose transparent background like we do on the main menu, where you're seeing the image just on top of the background for the page. Add graphics, I've tried that and it doesn't work very well. I tried to add like the True 32 custom cabinetry logo down here, and on some pictures it looks good, and on other it just depends on what the color behind it is, and some just really looks bad, so I don't recommend using that. And then these are just your options here, and you can toggle them on and off however you want to do it. And obviously if you look at the main menu gallery as opposed to any of the other galleries, a lot of these options are different on the main menu gallery. But real quick, show audio button is this button right here. And if you turn it off, then you shouldn't have sound. You don't want to put sound in your website and not give the user the option to turn the sound off. Then your show albums button actually shows a little icon here to be able to go back to the albums after you've gone into the photos for an album. When you're in the gallery, you need to be able to get to the albums. And then show the play button, and this is the play button here, and that's what turns on and off the slideshow. And then show thumbnails are these thumbnails right here. And obviously on the main menu gallery we've got all of that turned off. Every one of the things we've just discussed are turned off on the main menu gallery, where all you see is this picture with a transparent background. Then show photo preview brings the photo up, and somebody has a really slow connection, that's helpful, as is the show loading bar. It'll actually bring up a loading bar right across the screen and tell them, approximately how long it's going to take. Not necessarily counting down, but it's just a bar going left to right. And if it takes a few minutes for it to get halfway, they may not want to wait any longer than that. And they can know that when you don't have that loading bar, they have no idea how long it's going to take for that picture to load. With it, they have a real slow connection. With high speed, it's not necessary, but you don't know who has that and who doesn't. And then your other options are show albums on startup. Again, the main menu gallery does not show albums. It just goes right into a slideshow of the primary pictures. But the albums we'll see when we go here. Let me just click over here real quick. There's the album page where we actually see the albums when we come to that. But you can have it go straight to one of them, and they have to click on this. The problem with starting there is they may not realize what that is. Where if you start here at albums and then they choose an album, then they know that obviously they need to be able to get back, and they would see that. And if they hover over it, it'll also tell them what that is. Then play slideshow on startup. That's up to you. Some people don't want to do that, some people do, but it's just turning it on and off. If you don't start it, they have to push this button to start a slideshow, but they can still navigate by just picking the picture they want to. They can stop it here if they want to stop and look at pictures, any one picture as long as they want. Image protection, I recommend everybody check that. That just keeps people from right-clicking on your pictures while your website is up and running, and right-clicking and saving that to their hard disk. Active content fix does not work properly, so just ignore that. And if it ever does get working, maybe we'll all get a message from anybody that buys Coffee Cup. Maybe they'll tell us that they think it works right now, but it doesn't. Transparent background allows instead of having the black box where this thing lives, it just allows it to be whatever the color of the page background is, whether that's some sort of gradient background or some sort of parchment or whatever. And then play audio on startup. I've began turning that off and then leaving the audio there, and if they click on this audio button, it'll actually turn it back on. But instead of it starting with the audio and them having to turn it off, we're starting with it off, and if they want to turn it on, they can. Slideshow speed is just how long this picture will stay up there. So at this level right here, 4, it's going to stay up there for 4 seconds. Thumbnail scroll speed is how many it moves across, and you don't want it real fast, don't want it real slow, but the defaults are really good there. So this is everything for the gallery. Then we go to the albums, and on the albums we basically get the same type, same type arrangement here with 2 tabs. And we can do the same thing as far as with borders and background. So all these things work exactly the same, other than there's now text. So you have the opportunity to determine what font there is for the text and what font color. Obviously, if you have a black background here, you want white text or something very light so you can see it. So here we're looking at the albums, and these are the settings for the albums. If we click on this album, we'll see that here in the album title, whatever we type in this box will show up here. And whatever we type in this box will show up just below it. Obviously the upper one is bold, the lower one is not. And then we have some advanced options here, and this is just appearances. So you have the background colors and borders and all the same things. And then image caption. The image caption is going to roll up when you're actually looking at a photo. One of these images are actually up in the main screen of the gallery. This image caption will come up, and it'll say whatever this says right here, the photo caption. And we do want that to, in some places, be auto show, and in some places you have to roll, which just means that it's up all the time. And then other times you have to roll your mouse over it for it to come up. And the disadvantage in the kitchen gallery is if people are trying to make notes of what door style they like and what finish they like and things like that, they really need the ability for that image to stay up, although it does somewhat cover some portion in the top portion of the picture. But you can make it more opaque if that bothers you, and you can try some of those settings. But the current settings are pretty good, I think. Each one of these is an album within this gallery, the kitchen gallery. and each one of these obviously is a kitchen. And then when you click on any one of these albums, then you get the thumbnails are the actual photos in that album. And in the next video we're going to actually bring in the one of the jobs that we've looked at. This is the one we kind of prepared. I've gone ahead and brought it in and sorted it. It's the Rowan kitchen, and this Acres Rowan kitchen. And then I've gone in here and sorted these pictures, brought all the pictures in, and we're going to do another kitchen for an example on the next video. But I've brought all these pictures in and I've sorted them in the order I want. And you just use these arrow buttons to move them left to right. See how that picture is moving left to right. You can add new pictures here, and you can delete pictures here, and then you can add captions for those pictures, and we're going to do all that on the next one. That's it for this video, and hopefully that's helpful. And on the next video we'll actually bring in an actual new album to this kitchen gallery and kind of go through the steps of adding the text here and the text there, and sorting the pictures and all of that. So look forward to seeing you on the next video.